For years, Yaman has been known as the confident, charming face of Turkish drama, a man who seemed untouchable, unstoppable, and always in control. But behind the cameras, beneath that perfect smile, something was breaking. The story begins during the production of a high-profile project, one that promised to take his career to the next level. Every scene, every interview, every public appearance was part of a carefully built image, the strong leading man who had everything under control. But no one knew that, off-camera, that same man was facing one of the hardest emotional battles of his life. According to insiders close to the set, tension had been brewing for weeks. He was quieter than usual, avoiding eye contact, staying longer in his trailer after scenes. He looked like someone who had lost a part of himself, one crew member revealed. At first, people assumed it was exhaustion, long hours, endless press events, constant public scrutiny. But then something happened that changed everything. It started with whispers, messages exchanged behind the scenes, small misunderstandings that grew into something bigger. People close to can say that during one particularly intense week of filming, a private conversation was overheard, one that shouldn't have left the room. That conversation spread like wildfire across the set, distorting the truth, twisting words, and turning trust into suspicion. The fallout was immediate. Suddenly, the easygoing atmosphere on set turned cold. Certain cast members avoided eye contact, others kept their distance. Ken felt it. The air had changed. And yet, being the professional he is, he kept showing up, delivering perfect performances, hiding every ounce of pain behind that magnetic smile. But cameras don't always lie. Fans later noticed something unusual in his eyes during that period, a shadow, a weight, a sadness that seemed impossible to fake. A source who worked closely with him said, "Ken has always been a perfectionist. He pushes himself beyond limits." But that week, he wasn't the same. He didn't talk much. He'd finish a scene and just walk off, staring at the floor. It wasn't anger, it was heartbreak. Rumors soon began to swirl, not just about professional stress, but something much deeper, something personal. A betrayal? A misunderstanding? No one knew for sure. But everyone agreed on one thing: it hit him hard. The media, as usual, made things worse. Headlines twisted the story, portraying him as moody, uncooperative, even arrogant, when in reality, he was fighting to keep his composure. Behind closed doors, Ken reportedly confronted those responsible for spreading the false stories. He didn't shout. He didn't curse. He just asked one simple question. "Why would you do this to me?" That question hung in the air, unanswered. In the days that followed, he withdrew from public life. He canceled appearances, skipped social events, and stayed mostly silent on social media, something completely out of character for him. Fans began to worry. Some said he was recovering from emotional burnout, others feared he was dealing with something even deeper. Then came the moment that broke everyone's heart. During an interview in Italy, when asked about trust in people, Ken paused for a long time. His eyes glistened, and his voice cracked slightly as he said, "Sometimes the people closest to you hurt you the most, but you still have to forgive, even when you don't understand." That single sentence said more than any tabloid ever could. In the following weeks, rumors continued, claims of betrayal, private arguments, and secrets exchanged in the dark corners of fame. But through it all, Yaman stayed silent. And that silence was louder than words. A close friend later revealed that during this period, he spent days alone, reflecting, writing, and even questioning his future in the industry. He wasn't angry, the friend said. He was disappointed. Not in one person, but in how easily people can forget your humanity when you're famous. That realization changed him. When he finally returned to the spotlight, fans noticed the difference. The same confidence was there, but now mixed with something deeper, humility, maturity, and a quiet sadness that made him even more real. He began choosing projects more carefully, prioritizing peace over publicity. He distanced himself from people who used him for fame, and reconnected with those who had known him before all the noise. Insiders say that one late night, on set, he opened up to a small group of colleagues. He said, "You can lose fame and get it back. But when you lose trust, it never feels the same again." Everyone in the room went silent. Because they knew, those words came from pain. Months later, a behind-the-scenes clip surfaced from that same period. In it, Ken is seen laughing between takes, joking with the crew, but for a brief second, when the camera pans away and catches him off guard, his expression changes. His smile fades, his shoulders drop, and he looks lost in thought. Fans who saw that clip said it broke their hearts. "You can see everything in his eyes," one comment read. "He was pretending to be okay, but he wasn't." That clip went viral, amassing millions of views in just hours. And for the first time, people realized the truth: even the strongest faces hide fragile hearts. But what truly defined Ken wasn't the scandal or the heartbreak, it was how he rose above it. Instead of fighting back publicly, he let his silence speak. Instead of blaming anyone, he focused on rebuilding himself. And slowly, the world began to see a new side of him, stronger, wiser, and more human than ever before. During a later interview, when asked how he overcame those dark days, he said something that left the audience silent. "You can't control what people do to you. But you can control what you let break you." In the end, the scandal that once threatened to destroy him became the moment that redefined him. Because sometimes, the worst betrayal gives birth to the deepest strength. Those who tried to hurt him thought they were ending his story, but they unknowingly gave him a new beginning. And for fans, that's the real reason they love him even more today. Not because he's flawless, but because he survived the storm with grace. As one Italian journalist perfectly put it, "Ken Yaman didn't lose control, he just learned what's worth holding on to." And maybe, that's the kind of power that no scandal can ever take away. After months of silence, when everyone thought he had moved on, something unexpected happened. During a film festival appearance, a journalist asked a bold question: "If you could go back to that moment, would you handle it differently?" Ken looked directly into the camera, took a deep breath, and replied, "No. I needed to go through that to understand who's real and who's just acting." That answer became the headline everywhere. It wasn't anger, it was acceptance. A kind of quiet power that only comes after surviving something painful. People in the audience said you could feel the emotion in his voice. For the first time in a long while, he wasn't the actor on screen, he was just a man speaking his truth. Since then, Ken's approach to fame and life has changed completely. He's more selective, more private, and more protective of his peace. But through it all, his fans stood by him, because they know now that behind the glamour and fame, there's a heart that has been broken, healed, and grown stronger than ever.